This is to certify that movie
Twats
has been classified for live streaming.
Hello.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for another week of movie chat. I am pleased that you've turned up. I've had a hell of a week, so I didn't know if I was going to be turning up at this rate. Yes, it's good to see you all anyway. Steve, how was your week?
It's been busy because I've been at work the last few days, and then just doing a lot of gardening the few days before. So, but I've got a bloody big spot here I can't get rid of at the minute. It's driving me mental.
It's your forehead, mate. It's always been that size.
Well, a mate of mine said it's definitely in a different postcode. I was like, you cheeky sod. But it's not got a head on it yet, so I'm struggling. But yeah, I'm not hiding it. It's right there.
Right, so I've got a confession. So this week I've not done the homework movie, so we're gonna roll over Good Night, Mr. Tom. Now the good thing about it is that when I said to Lana that we haven't done the homework movie, she went, "Oh yeah." So after all the hassle she's given me about watching Good Night, Mr. Tom, she's not.
I was literally going to say this is the one movie you've wanted to watch for about 6 months.
Yeah, and we just have not had the time. Let me just go and close that curtain. We just have not had it because it looks like I've got like a Jesus cross on my tit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
off the webcam. Yeah. So the one movie that.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Hope everybody's well. Hey up. Now we've gone dark mode. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. Right, there you go. That's better. So you might have noticed a new intro, and that's all courtesy of Mr. Hayden. We did mention, or I did mention, the fact that we've gone through a slight rebrand. Now, I didn't know about changing the name because we're starting to get our merch out there. People have got movie chats, hats, and T-shirts and stuff, and I didn't think it'll go down well if I change the name of the channel. Just after we started getting all of this. Steve's got a beautiful vest top. He never wears.
And I wouldn't want to. I'm going to wear that all summer.
Yeah, you know, the sun's coming out, so we want to see those guns out. We want to see the shorts. Have you been wearing it while you've been doing it? Have you been wearing it while you've been doing the garden?
No, I've been tempted. I've been really tempted, but no, not yet. I've not sprung the extra small sized movie chats vest out.
Do you know what? Do you know I bought those Timberland pants off Chris?
Oh yeah,
the cargo pants. And I was really excited, and I've worn them a couple of times. So I've put them on today. I put them on yesterday, sorry, and I couldn't get them over my thighs. I was like,
just gonna have to skip leg day for a bit.
That's what you get, you see, for going to the gym. It's all of a sudden my legs have just gone.
Do you know what? I didn't even know you had a gym membership. You don't mention it at all.
No, do I look like I go to the gym?
No.
No, the only machine that looks like I've ever gone to at the gym is the vending machine. All right, so you know. All right.
Don't be quiet, guys. Say hello in the chat if you can. Welcome.
As you can tell, I am not very organised tonight, so I'll be doing my featured actor off my phone. So let's move on to featured actor, shall we? So this week's featured actor is Bill Paxton. Okay. Now, little Steve, you made a comment last week about, it's all going to be about aliens. Well, it is and it isn't. It's mostly going to be about, it's mostly going to be about aliens.
Hey, Chris.
I thought you was going to cinema.
Well, he might be at the cinema. It might just be a really boring movie.
He's gone to watch Guardians.
Hey, Erica. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining us, guys. Yeah, so what do you reckon? Are you going to go first with your list, or are you still looking on your phone?
You can go first. Go on.
Okay. So, I've gone with Aliens, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I thought I'd put that out there. Apollo 13.
Yeah.
Twister. Love Twister.
Okay.
Tombstone is probably one of my favourite movies. I know someone that's selling a pop at the minute of Doc Holliday, which is quite nice. And Club Dread, which is a strange one. There's no particular order with that, but I remember the film. But he's been in a lot of good movies, hasn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the list now. So I've got them in order. So he's in Stripes.
Yeah.
I don't remember being in Stripes. Terminator. Weird Science. Commando. Aliens. Slipstream, which is quite a good film.
Hey, Jason.
Navy SEALs. I really enjoyed Navy SEALs. Yeah, that's a great film. Like I say, Tombstone, he's down as being in True Lies, Apollo 13.
Tombstone is amazing. Absolutely amazing. What a film.
Yeah. But like I say, the standout ones for me, he says he's in The Edge of Tomorrow. I can't remember being in The Edge of Tomorrow.
No. Do you remember him in Weird Science?
No.
No, neither do I. Two Guns.
But I take it though, with him being in Weird Science at that age, he's probably one of the teenage bullies.
Oh, 100% he would be a small one. That's when I saw was Weird Science. Yeah, Tombstone is a great film. I need to see it. Tombstone is definitely one of those movies. If I put it on, I can put that on any time of the year. It's a really good movie. Some really standout performances as well.
Yeah.
But that was one of those we were talking about a few weeks back, wasn't it, where it came out at the same time as like Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
He was the boy's older brother in Weird Science. So
yeah, he was one of the bullies then, if I remember.
Is he ever the leading role? Chris said. I don't.
I don't think he ever has.
No,
I don't think he ever has been a leading role.
Twister.
No, was Twister. Who was he in Twister?
He was one of the chasers, wasn't he?
Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, but Bill Paxton was the other half. I say other half. He was the
Helen Hunt
one. Yeah, possibly. He was in Nightcrawler as well. I don't remember him in that. But I do enjoy the film. You got Next of Kin with Patrick Swayze. Thunderbirds. That was a terrible movie. That was.
There's a film here that I'm looking at the list now, and it's called Vertical Limit, and this is where they go up the mountain, for the rescue party. Now, that seems to be so underrated as a movie, but I absolutely love that film.
Yeah,
I just love the bit where they're on the rope and they're crossing over, and he goes, "Watch out for that nitroglycerin," and you're forgetting to carry big explosives, and it's a very volatile, isn't it? And they're falling off the face of the cliff and all sorts. It was just like, oh my god.
There's a couple of movies like that out at the time, but Vertical Limit was one of the best ones, I think. If I remember rightly. He was the rival chaser. Oh, was he? Oh God, yeah. Have you seen Nightcrawler? That's a really good movie. That is.
I've seen Nightcrawler now.
Yeah, I went through a bit of a Jake Gyllenhaal phase of watching his movies.
Jake Gyllenhaal, did you?
It's a bit of a Jake Gyllenhaal phase watching his movies.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. My practice manager at work worked on it as a wardrobe, I think. Wow, okay. That's cool.
So, like I said, there's two big standout movies there for me for him, and it's Aliens and Apollo 13.
Yeah.
You know,
Apollo 13 he was great in, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was absolutely awesome in Apollo 13. And I think Kevin Bacon sort of the two of them arguing in the capsule about who stirred the tank and did you do it right and stuff like that, and just listening and having a go. I just think that's really good.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember him in Cliffhanger.
I don't think he was Cliffhanger. It's not saying he was in Cliffhanger.
No, it's definitely not showing up as one of his credits, is it?
No. And he's too old to be one of the guys that's jumping off the top of the mountain at the beginning, isn't he?
I don't know.
Of
Do you mean them
cliff
two, the two guys that
two base jumpers?
Yeah, I don't know. No vertical limit and Cliffhanger, similar timings. Oh, right, sorry, yeah. I mean, Cliffhanger was, yeah. I was talking about there was another one that came out around the same time. I forget what it's called now.
Was it K2 or Into the Void or?
Yeah, something like that. Working with Lions. Year After Aliens. Yeah. But yeah, he's a good actor, but he's always been well, apart from like you say one movie, maybe he's always been a sort of side actor, hasn't
he? Yeah.
Yeah, but take nothing away from it. He was good. Rest in peace now, isn't it? He was a good actor.
Speaking of rest in peace, Tina Turner.
Yeah, I know. I want to say it's shocking, but it's she was at what 83.
Yeah, and Ray Stevenson died earlier this week, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
He died at 58. So he must have just finished filming the Ahsoka series before he died.
Hey,
he's in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
He's the guy that pissed himself in True Lies. Yeah. Now, the actor that I always get Lance Henriksen mixed up with is Scott Glenn. And I always get those two confused when I see them in films. I always think one's the other one. Scott Glenn's in the Right Stuff and Vertical Limit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always get those two mixed up. So I only mention it because Erica's put Lance Henriksen in the chat there. I think at this point, this is where I normally say, which one of his films would you recommend to a younger person? Tombstone.
Yeah. 100%.
What are you doing now?
Oh, that Greatest Showman, I didn't put it on the side, so I'm just moving it. It was annoying me that it was just sat there.
Yeah, Shabba saying game over. Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah, like I say, there's only a couple of roles that it springs to mind for me about Bill Paxton. And I think we've mentioned it with
Aliens. I would imagine the two of them, aren't they?
Yeah, and without being hung up over two, there isn't much more that we can talk about Bill Paxton, really.
No, I mean, like I say, one of the first things I think I saw was probably Twister. I remember seeing that in the cinemas when I was younger with him in. So I think that was probably my first sort of go with Bill Paxton. But looking back at his filmography, there's loads of things that he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
I'm sharing the wheel.
Oh, okay, cool. He was in Titanic 2 briefly. Or Titanic 2 briefly.
Titanic 2?
Huh?
Right, there we go. We've got the wheel. So, right, are we ready?
Yes.
We've done Michelle Pfeiffer.
Can we get that verified by the the third person on movie chats.
What, Mike?
No. No. Lana.
We have done Michelle Pfeiffer.
You sure?
So let's spin it. Yeah.
It's just
Let's spin it again. There we go. That's better.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, okay, that'll do.
That'll do us. Right. So as I said at the start of the show, I have just been too busy to do the homework. So we're going to continue and move Goodnight, Mr. Tom over to next week. Next week's show, I'm thinking, Steve, how about we get a mega blockbuster cast of guests on?
Go for it, yeah.
And we'll get your spot its own.
Yeah, it needs it definitely needs its own video. Yeah.
So should we go for like a Celebrity Squares type of panel next week, and we'll get some special guests on?
Yeah, go for it. It's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it, since we've done something like that?
Yeah, get a lot of people on then, because it's going to be a good week talking about Robert Downey Jr. And if we can get a good panel on as well, that might go on for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
What have you been watching this week, mate?
Well, I watched. There was a one I stumbled across. I think it was on, I want to say Netflix. They called Inside Man.
Oh yeah.
Which was 4 episodes. I think there might be a second series there at the minute, but it's 4 episodes, and it's got David Tennant in as who plays a vicar. It was a BBC program that came out about a year or two ago, but it's got that Stanley. I want to say Stanley Tucci or the guy from. He was in not The Gentleman. What's it called? He was in Devil Wears Prada, I think, as a designer, and he was also in. Oh my good God! What are they called? The Thingyman, the
Kingsman.
The Kingsman. The guy in the Kingsman.
Hey
AJ, and I must say, right, even though it was 4 episodes, by the 4th one, I was screaming at the telly. Absolutely, thank you, Baz. Yeah, it was because I don't want to give it away, but basically, David Tennant plays a vicar, and that Stanley guy, he's got a bit of a Silence of the Lambs sort of Clarice sort of relationship with this investigator. So he's in prison for killing his wife. We don't know why. There's none of that. But he is a I want to say forensic expert or something. He figures out stuff. So at the minute they've got him helping people with cases while he's on death row. And it's all sort of comes together, but that's where the sort of Silence of the Lambs side of it comes from. But it's really interesting because it's basically this vicar has a really bad day and things start to spiral out of control for reasons that are not of his own. But like 4 episodes, I could have done another 4. It was brilliant. But the thing is that there's a possibility that there's a second series. Honestly, after the first episode or so, Kathy, it's really good. Hi, by the way. Hey, buddy. But it's we watched the first 2 episodes one night and then watched the second 2 episodes the next night. But it got me really sort of engaged, that fourth episode. Lou was like, "You just sit down." I'm like, "No, it's got to happen."
Mark Strong's the one out of Green Lantern, and Grimsby and things like that, isn't he? He's the very very deep, well-spoken Englishman.
It's, I mean, I don't think I've got him on any sort of front covers or anything, but it's the guy. He's in loads of things. He's been in absolutely loads. But they're the two that sort of spring to mind because I remember him being a designer in Devil Wears Prada.
It's not the bloke from the Transformers movie, is it? The one where he's the car designer.
He's in absolutely bloody everything, mate. Yeah. Him.
Oh, yeah. Him, yeah.
But he's
in Kingsman and Kick-Ass.
I don't know why it's what I mean. He's obviously a TV drama sort of thing, but he plays a really good part in it. But he's in so many things. You've got Hunger Games, Captain America: First Avenger.
That's what I was thinking of.
Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast. So many. But yeah, it's a really good program, and it had me gripped. So I definitely recommend that.
So can we just address Jason's comment that I've just had highlighted? I wonder which movies will be talked about with Robbie Downey Jr. I reckon all they'll talk about or chosen is the Marvel film. He's got loads. He's got loads there without Marvel. You know, the one that springs to mind for me at very early doors was U.S. Marshals, which was the follow-up to The Fugitive.
Yeah.
So the Sherlock Holmes movies, I know they get some really bad stick, but I quite enjoy the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Well, I mean, there's also Tropic Thunder, isn't there?
By the way,
is this a new series? No, Chris, it isn't. It's let's say it was on BBC. It was one of those BBC 4-part drama things, but it was like 2022 maybe. So they've put it onto Netflix now. That's it. AJ says Stanley Tucci. Tucci, is it Tucci? Yeah. Tucci. By the way, Chris, then. Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
So what we'll do next week, because we've obviously got we're a bit short of time for this evening, so I'll put the link in the chat now.
Yeah, of course,
for people if you want to come on. So, ladies and gentlemen, little Steve can only stay with us for about an hour and 10 this evening. So we'll it's going to be quite short.
Let alone and Lou's not very well again. So I've got home tonight and they're both coughing a gut up downstairs. So I've actually what I've managed to do. I've got a lock on this side of the door now. So I'll put that on. And
the first week, not try to knock it down because he's ill.
Yeah, exactly. I really want him to test it. But he's going to be a bit confused when he can hear me, but he can't get in the door.
Well, why don't you lock yourself in there and see if Lou can get through the door?
I'll just lock myself in until it's all over and they've got better.
What I've been watching this week, I have been watching something quite interesting, and I can't remember what the bloody thing is. It'll come to me later when we're not on the stream.
So, I had a bit of a run out to Melton Mulberry CEX the other day because I've noticed a few Blu-rays that I was eyeing up, and it's about 15-20 minutes down the road, but I don't usually go to it. But I thought, you know what, I'll have a look, see if there's anything different, and I had some stuff to trade in. So I went down there, and I tell you what, the guys there were really good. It was really, really good. But I managed to get a few bits that I was after. I've got more than this, but two of the things that I were after was the Wolf of Wall Street 4K Arrow one, right? Now this was on the thingy behind them. And I said to him, I said, I hope the previous owners kept it in good condition. And she went, it was sealed when we got it. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So this is absolutely crisp as fuck.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's still got the business card.
Funny, right? But what really got me is this one here, which is the 4K. Oh, I'm not dropping it. Untouchables, right? It's really glossy. wooden. What am I saying about really cardboard? Right? There's not a mark on it. But what they'd done is, I don't know if this was sealed when they got it as well. What they'd done is they had shrink wrapped it and then put the stickers on so that it didn't damage it. So I was well chuffed with that, because that is really, it's mint. It's completely mint. It's gorgeous. The only slight thing was on the mist of the stuff that I got. I had a few pounds left, so I picked up Dark Phoenix on Steelbook, just because the Steelbook looks really nice. So it's got a nice Phoenix on it. Problem is, it's got the J card as well. Problem is, when I got home, they'd forgot to put the disc in. Right. However, to their credit, I went into my local one, and they've spoke to them, and they're going to send it me. So they've in fact, they send them to the store for me. So by the time I go in a few days, I'll have it in there.
Awesome. I'm loving the t-shirt, AJ. Is that Atlantis?
Oh, gents, you what?
Right, buddy?
Oh, on my t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah,
No,
is it Atlantis or
no,
SG1? SG1.
Look at that. It's like, what this old thing?
SG1, that one.
I didn't even realise I had it on.
Atlantis is the Pegasus picture, isn't it?
Well, this one. No, that's the Chevron.
The Atlantis one's the Pegasus thing.
That's right.
It?
Yes. Yeah. I do want the Atlantis t-shirt.
I saw a t-shirt of that the other day on your channel, didn't I?
You did indeed, yes.
I thought you did.
With the Sequest, like, is that the UK release? Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a UK release. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I do have the Blu-rays from Germany.
Of course you do.
Yeah. I love a bit of Sequest.
I'm intrigued, mate, because your last couple of videos you've been talking about your bootlegs and stuff like that, and you went through your bootleg collection because you were talking about Disney Plus removing content.
Yes.
Where do you see the streaming sites versus physical media in, say, 2 years' time?
That's a. Sorry, I just had to adjust the curtains because the sunlight's coming in. That's an interesting question because I think it's all in flux at the moment. I honestly can't see them. Problem is, physical media market is shrinking by the day.
Yeah.
It's not growing. It's not getting any bigger. Cost of living crisis, everything is just creating a shrinking market. So even if they do start releasing this stuff, you will get a peak for a little bit, but you're never going to recover that. Physical media is never going to come back the way it was.
No.
But with Disney and that, the way things are happening, it's very in flux at the moment. Disney removing content is a worrying trend. I mean, looking at the list of what they're removing, there's nothing there that overly concerns me
yet.
But it's that overall that they're willing to do it. When they're removing content like, Willow, which is brand new, 6 months old, I think thereabouts for Willow. Do you know what I mean? That's worrying. So,
do you think they're going to release it?
Sorry?
Do you think they're going to release it on physical media and then maybe put it back on a bit later?
No, I think they'll probably sell it to another channel.
Yeah, maybe.
So it will end up somewhere. But I think they've got a line in the sand where anything that potentially drops below that line, view figure-wise, they'll then sort of pull. I mean, you could, the one that Marvel and Star Wars stuff, I think, is fine at the moment. But when you got shows like What If, which weren't a big hit anyway, how long will it be before something like that is shipped out?
Yeah.
The What If, because you were talking about the series being supporting for the films.
Yeah.
the What If was more supporting for the Madness Multiverse Doctor Strange movie, wasn't it? You know, where the Captain Britain and the alternative Ultron and stuff like that. So if you hadn't have seen, and they were pushing that to say you've got to watch this to understand what's happening in Strange 2, but you don't. You can watch Strange 2 and understand that those characters are going to be in there without watching that. And the other one that I really enjoyed was Hitmonkey, and I saw you had the bootleg of Hitmonkey.
Yes.
So if they're going to remove that content and they're not going to give us a physical release of that content, the only way of seeing that content is what you've done.
It's bootlegging it, yes.
You know, you've bunged your mate 10 quid to go and have a few pints, and he's give you a copy on Blu-ray. So
yeah, it's a very divisive subject, isn't it? Because on the one hand, 3 years ago, I'd have said to you, bootleg, never would I, back in the day, years ago, I used to rent bootlegs and things like that. Pirates from behind the counter. How I used to hook VCRs up to one another and do my own recording. Do you know what I mean? But 3-4 years ago, I'd have said, no, bootlegs, no, would never touch them again. But then you've had the likes of Disney force your hand. I'm collecting things like, take an example, Homeland TV series.
Yeah.
So, all right, great. You release all the first 7 seasons for me on physical media, on Blu-ray, and then you don't release the final season.
They shouldn't be able to do that. That's the problem. They shouldn't be able to get away with that.
Yeah, that's a kick in the teeth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not the first program they've done it with, is it?
No.
Yeah, but you've just spent 15 quid on each season, once they're 6, and if they're not releasing 7 or 8 or whatever it was to finish it off, then I can understand that.
Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the UK. Well, no, not. I think Japan got releases of 6 and 7 of that, but here in the UK, you had seasons 1 to 5 and no more. The Marvel Netflix series stopped at the point just before the Defenders would have been. And with the Disney stuff, like I said, it's essentially part of an ongoing narrative. It's part of a universe. It's part of a. It's like a chapter. It's like telling me, here's a book. You can have all these chapters, but you can have chapters 1, 2, 3, and 7, 8, 11 in the book. But the rest you've got to download. Elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You just mentioned Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. there. Now, I was reading something that they're bringing Daisy Johnson, who was Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., into the new phase of the MCU. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started as part of the MCU because I remember the first couple of episodes, they had to put a couple of weeks in because of the episode with Lady Sif, because it came after Thor Dark World, didn't it?
Yeah.
And there was a little bit in that episode that took away the whole plot of the film. Then it moved away from that. So anybody that hasn't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from season 2 onwards doesn't know Quake's backstory and story arc, and they're going to throw her into this mad mix of Marvel mashup that they've got going on at the moment. How do you think that's going to work if they're trying to bring us established characters from what is no longer canon in the MCU into the MCU?
I reckon they will give her an introduction, not a major introduction, but you think of someone like American Chavez in they'll just treat her like a new character almost, and they will give a bit about a backstory in a throwaway line or something.
Yeah, because the Inhumans, isn't it? They're bringing the Inhumans back into it, which again is another one that's no longer canon within the MCU.
No, but you would say that it is and it isn't, in the sense that now you've got multiverse. It's in a pocket dimension. It's in another. This happened over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very easily explainable, and with all crossovers of the dimensions, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I quite like Daisy Johnson as a character. I quite like the story arc going through. I lost sort of interest where he went to a sort of like homeland type of sanctuary place where they were all learning about the powers and they were all getting the powers and stuff.
Yeah.
I lost interest in that particular. And then when he moved it back into right, we're now fighting the bad guys, and the only thing for me was that whole time jump in that last series. Where they were jumping every couple of minutes and whatever else. And 1 minute they're in the past, next minute they're in the future, and then they pulled like the All Good Things trick in Star Trek, didn't they? Where people were in different timelines. But it should be interesting.
I think it was really one that stuck with it. But once they sort of stepped away from being under the umbrella of the Marvel films, done their own thing, then they, do you know what I mean? It became quite strong.
Yeah.
So I found a box set in a charity shop the other day, Steve. I forgot to mention it to you. It's this.
The Leprechaun.
Yeah, the Leprechaun. It's 5.
I haven't seen any of them, you know.
Well, I don't think I have. Obviously, it's Warwick Davis in it.
Yes.
But you've got number 1, 2, 3, Leprechaun 4 in space, and Leprechaun 5 in the hood. And it says on here it's got featuring Jennifer Aniston and Ice-T. So
I forgot Jennifer Aniston was in one of them.
So I'm like, yeah, that's a Terror 2 feet tall. That first one. Yeah, I've got 5 of them. Well, I'm going to give them a go. I want to see how bad it is for Leprechaun 5 in the hood.
If it's anything like Critters 5, where they're in space or whatever.
No. That's number 4. He's in space in number 4.
Oh, he's in space at number 4, is he?
Yeah. So I don't know how bad these are going to be. But the thing is that I picked it up for £1.50, and I scanned it in, and it was like £12 they sell it for at CEX. So I'm going to have to pick that one up. Seen the first Leprechaun, but not the others. Well, this is it. I've got a chance of being able to see 1 to 5 now.
There you go.
I know.
It might be fun.
You never know. Warwick Davis. He's yeah. I was quite impressed with that one because I like it when you go into like these charity shops and stuff and you see something that you don't normally see. But I was really tempted when I went down to Melton Mowbray the other day. I was really tempted to do a bit of filming because literally every video I see of AJ, he's in a different CEX. He's like, I don't know how many's around you, bud, but you must have about 12.
I
had a dinner hour that lasts about 6 hours.
No. What's that? A dinner hour that lasts about 6 hours. I'm quite sort of free in my work and getting out. So that sort of it is good for me. But in my, I can probably point to about 15 CEX.
See, I told you. I told you.
Within an hour, either direction.
Did that not give it away on his latest pickup video, Steve, when he said, you know what, I'm not going to film my journey because it's about 5 minutes away and I know exactly what I want. So I'm not wasting my time on it.
Yeah, exactly.
When I jumped out of work on my lunch for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you had like a parking of about half an hour or something on one of them. It's right. Like, I'm sure I watched about 10 minutes worth of walking. Then I'm thinking he's got to have a look at him. Then he's got to stand in a queue that if it's busy, could be one person on with about 6 people, with at least 10 people in front of him.
It wasn't that bad.
I don't know. Sometimes I do want to film when I'm in a CEX, and then there's other times when I'm thinking, is it just being cheeky or just a bit geeky, or are they going to ask me to not film or what? I don't know. I never know what the etiquette is when it comes to it.
You ever get challenged by it?
It's like filming in charity shops.
In all my filming, I've only ever been challenged once, and that was by a security guard in Bromley Shopping Centre, because I was actually filming in the centre outside the shops.
Yeah.
And they clocked me, and then I went into Mankind I was sort of filming in there, and the security guard came up and told me to stop filming. That's the only time I've been challenged. In CEX, no, never. Even down the local one, if I'm not filming, when I go to the till, the geezer goes, "Oh, you're not filming today."
I think I'd be all right. I think I'd be all right in my local one in Ellesmere Port because they know me in there and they know I've got a YouTube channel. And
they also think that you're just videoing me to get sales.
Yeah, I'm always on a video call to little Steve. Have you got this steelbook? What about this one? And he goes, I can always check this stock, on the app. I know, but I'm here now.
I do that. I do that now. I do check on the app before I go. Generally,
well, this is it. But I had no inkling to go to Melton Mowbray. I was like, but I'd been to the local one a couple of times. I was like, oh. Anyway, I just sat there and I thought, I'll have a quick look what they've got. And I think the first thing that came up was this. And I think, obviously, I'm sure you've got this as well.
Yes.
But I was like, the thing is, the longer I leave it, and if I want to get it second hand, the longer I leave it, the worse condition potentially they will be in as I go and pick one up. And I was like, right, I'm going to go and do it. Anyway, like I say, when I got there and my eyes lit up because it was at the back and I was like, yeah, it's definitely got it. And then I said, oh, I hope they've looked after it. And she went, it was sealed when it came in. I nearly cried. I was like, today is the day. And then I saw this and I was like, the fact that they'd gone to the length of wrapping it so that it didn't damage the package, because it's really glossy and you could see every mark and dent on it if it wasn't.
Yeah, that's a steelbook inside that one, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah, so it's quite a nice steelbook, actually. It's got the poster and everything.
Yeah,
but that was 15 quid.
Yeah, it's nice
4K.
one. That.
Yeah. But I mean, I got a few more bits as well. I got Casino, which is another 4K that I really wanted. Here we go. Oh, lucky.
No, don't wind them up. We were at the boot sale on Sunday, and some woman was selling a load of DVDs and Blu-rays and whatever. And in the far corner, she went, anything in that box there is 50p, because I don't know what they are. I was all right, okay. So I went and had a look, and there was a load of 4Ks for 50p each. I was like, I haven't got a 4K TV, but I'll pick them all up anyway, just to trade them. So I took them.
You trade that thingy in, the Vinci Code?
Yeah.
You bellend.
What?
I thought my subtle hint was enough.
What? You like the Da Vinci Code?
I like the Da Vinci Code.
I've been telling you for weeks I like your Space Above and Beyond, but it's still on your fucking shelf.
It's so far up there, mate. I can't reach it.
Well, it's so far in Ellesmere Port CEX. I definitely can't reach it.
You can definitely pop back in, can't you?
So how much do you spend and how much do you get trading back?
Well, I spent 50p and I got £2 for it.
No, overall. You bought loads. You said you bought a load.
Oh, yeah. I took loads of stuff in, yeah. So on a £6 spend, an £8 spend, I got £28 back on trading. So, yeah, I did all right.
No, that's great. Just wait to do it.
Yeah. And then I came home and ordered a Blu-ray player online. So I could got a Blu-ray player. So I got a Blu-ray player in here now. Well, all I will do when it arrives tomorrow. So when I'm working,
all the bloody things.
When I'm working now, I've only got the Xbox. I had the 2 Xboxes, but then when I played a Blu-ray on the older one, it made that much of a racket I couldn't hear the film. So I traded the Xbox in CEX. I got some money for that, and then ended up ordering a Blu-ray player from CEX with the trading value. And that way, when I'm working from home, I don't need to stream from my phone to the telly through the Chromecast.
Yeah.
So I can just watch my films then. So
while you're busy working.
I'm always busy working, mate, but I just need something on in the background just to take the focus away.
Space Above and Beyond.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I need Space Above and Beyond. Yeah, you're right, Movie Mad. It is a great show. It's just a shame. It
was on your neck of the woods, that, mate.
Well, they finished it. They finished the show where they weren't too sure if they were going to get a second season or not out of it. So they killed a lot of the cast off and then left some of them alive. And then it was just left up in the air, wasn't it, about what was going on?
It was. Well, so it was a Fox show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fox were notorious for cancelling that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was because it was definitely a 90s sci-fi channel sort of hit. You know, you watch Red Dwarf, then you watch Space Above and Beyond, and then you know you went on from there. But that whole Friday afternoon of watching like Sky right the way through to Space Above and Beyond.
It was more Space Above and Beyond, was almost like a predecessor to Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
very similar in tone.
Yeah, but I would like to see what happened to like Vanson. What Vanson died, didn't she? Voos died. West survived, and Coop survived, didn't he?
Space Above and Beyond. I ain't seen that in decades.
Yeah, West and Coop survived. Vanson, Voos, and Cooper died in the trailer, didn't they? And so did Wang while they were fighting to allow them to escape with the VIPs. Yeah, that was the end of the show. Yeah, and that's where it finished.
Yeah.
See, I haven't seen it for God knows how long, Stevie, and I can still remember it, even though you haven't sent it over to me. Git.
Hey, it was over in your neck of the woods.
It was over in my neck of the woods. You are right in it. It has to have a proper look in the bag.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's anywhere near me.
Can you imagine if it's one of his 20 locals?
That'll be it now. Yeah, I'm just going through me 80
video tomorrow.
5 minutes away. Oh, look, I've got a copy. Yeah,
I'm going to be going. I'm going up into London on Sunday, and there's two up there. Within two CEXs within 5-minute walk of one another. Literally ran one road, come off of that road, down onto another road, and the other one's there.
I tell you what, there's only 2, 4, 6, 7 of them around the country in CEX. Epsom.
Anywhere near me.
Well, Margate, Leicester, Hull,
Grantham.
haven't. No, Bromsgrove, Cumberland.
Did you say Epsom?
Cumberland.
Epsom, yeah. There's one in Epsom.
Oh yeah, haven't. All right.
That's it now. AJ's just going to go and buy a bloody copy and just do a video. Just
make sure you do the video.
Epsom ain't far from me from work. That's like 8-minute train journey down from Wimbledon.
Look, Erica, I've got this thing about shows that I really enjoy. That I
agree, Erica.
I know most episodes. I could probably tell you line for line some of the Star Trek episodes, and stuff like that. But yeah, Space Above and Beyond is just one that sticks in my head. The greatest episode of Space Above and Beyond is an episode called The Angriest Angel. McQueen goes after the top fighter pilot. They're like Baron, the Red Baron version, and it's absolutely a great episode. Yeah, the last episode was brilliant. When the chick takes his helmet off and you realise, Christ, we've been friends with them for the last 2 episodes and no one knew. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, it's definitely the cheapest place to get it, CEX. Unless you have a second-hand store that's got it in, Steve.
It's one of those out-of-print titles, isn't it?
It's quite expensive on it. You're talking £30 plus, so probably £25, £30.
The TV stuff is more of the stuff that tends to go up in price more because whereas films do get re-released more print-ins, TV stuff generally doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, well.
Moving Mad knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's got to take his inhibitor out because when he got injured in the first battle.
No, we didn't. I didn't. How about you guys? Have any of you guys seen the War of the Worlds series?
I watched the first series and I just didn't get into the second one.
Yes. Second series stars Adrian Paul.
Mm.
Highlander, TV's Highlander.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first season starred the geezer from... He was in Predator. The fella who gets hit by the last geezer to get killed in Predator.
Yeah.
You got the what's his name? Billy, the one who cuts
The
himself.
Indian.
Yeah, he gets killed, and then you got Arnie pulling that other geezer along, who's been had his chest crushed by the log, and then the Predator gets shot. He was in the first season. He was like one of the main stars of the first season. Can't remember his name. And then he wasn't in the second season, but Adrian Paul, before he done Highlander, was the main star. I've got them on DVD actually.
I tell you what, you're talking War of the Worlds there. Chris Hayden sent me the musical War of the Worlds, the stage show from London.
Yeah,
and I love the film and I love the book. I enjoyed it, but if I heard that bloody War of the Worlds flipping soundtrack one more time, they've told us that 1,000,000 to 1 chance that they're going to come from Mars, and yet they come. If I hear that one more bloody time from Marty Pello, I swear to God, I'm going to overdose.
I've actually got the CD soundtrack down there somewhere under the.
I'll keep an eye out for you, Steve.
I was all right until we got to the Jason Donovan bit. Because that drags out for about 20 minutes. Donovan and his wife going on about how she's really the devil and he's a priest and it's his.
Oh, right, okay.
After the clock and all that, and you're like, you can cut all of that out. I know it's meant to be instrumental to the storyline, and but I really did enjoy the Liam Neeson bit because they had him on hologram. So he was on the big screen, then he was on hologram on the stage with all the other actors in and around, and it actually looked like he was there. The way they were interacting with it was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I know I'm being complimentary about a musical stage show.
Honestly, when you asked Chris for it, that was the last thing I expected you to pick out of that bunch that he gave. It really was the last thing I expected you to go. Yeah, I don't mind that. To be honest with you, I was about 10 seconds away from asking him my bloody self.
Well, you see, if you'd answered this message when he was asking you 3 times before
I was busy. But yeah, never mind. And then obviously, you've got something coming from him from Whatnot, haven't you?
I've got a couple of things coming from Whatnot. Yeah. Yes, you are right. Yes. One of them I didn't even mean to buy. And it cost me £23. Yes, I've watched the Sarah Connor Chronicles movie.
The Sarah Connor Chronicles?
Yeah, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. And right. I don't know about the second series, because towards the end of the second series they were like, we don't know if this is getting renewed or not, so they sort of just rushed and ended them through to the first season was really, really good.
Did you get that on DVD or did you get it on Blu-ray? I'm sure
it's on ITVX at the moment.
Okay. Fair enough.
There's a lot of the series. Sorry, AJ,
that was a good series. Garrett Dillahunt, who played the Terminator in it, I think he was really good.
Yeah,
he's pretty good in anything that he's in, actually. But no, that's another Fox series that they gave the chop to. Because I think season 1 was only like 9 episodes or something, wasn't it? It was only short. It was a mid-season replacement.
Yeah.
Then you got a full season for season 2, but and it ended on a cliffhanger.
You sort of just rushed it through. The last like 3 or 4 episodes, just like, we have no idea where it was going. And then it was like, right, done. And you're like, give me more. I want more.
Yeah.
Tell me what happens.
No, it was good. And thingy, Lena Headey, obviously, she was a decent Sarah Connor as well.
Yeah. So have you watched anything good this week then, AJ?
What have I watched this week? I just watched episode 1 of Arnie's new TV show, Fubar.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that on?
Well, it's on Netflix. It's they've dropped all the episodes in one hit, like they do.
Yeah.
Oh, have they? They've not done it weekly episodic?
No, they've dropped the whole series. And like I said, only episode 1. He's some sort of spy who's about to retire, and he's got his family. He's divorced from his wife because of his work. Not that she knows what he does, because obviously he's been lying all the time. And he's got a daughter. Then he comes to find out that his daughter's actually working for the CIA as well. She didn't know that he works for the CIA. He didn't know that she worked for the CIA. To be honest, it's very sort of True Lies-ish in that sense, which is quite ironic because obviously you got the True Lies TV series as well that recently started, which is a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
And there are 4K coming out of True Lies as well. I think there's a 4K release in there.
I don't know. It'd be nice if there was a Blu-ray, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Although it's not one of my favourite. It's probably one of my least favourite James Cameron films. It's not a film I ever gravitated towards or got out of it what other people did. I mean, it's a decent action film, but I think it's the least James Cameron film.
Yeah, I pulled mine out of the loft to give it a watch the other week.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't even know. I'm getting Whatnot notifications and I'm getting Vinted notifications, and I've it's payday today, and I've just spent £485 on brakes for the Mazda, and they're selling. You're writing that you've favorited has now been discounted. I'm sod off. Go away.
Lucky my car's been in with Peugeot for 5 weeks now. No sign of it coming back yet, and that's costing me $1,800.
Well, my car's been in with Ford since the middle of February, and that's costing us nothing. They're bricking it a bit at the minute because the bills come up at 16 grand to repair it when it's in warranty. So they're playing hardball with Ford at the minute to see if they can get the price down. So they give us a
whole new engine, though, isn't it? Yours is a whole new engine, isn't it?
The fuel injection failed, so it sent all the fuel through the engine and the set fire to the exhaust. So there's quite a bit of damage on it, but they tried to tell us we put diesel in it until Ford had a look at it and went, no, they haven't. So now they're backwards and forwards with their insurance company to get it sorted out.
Just coming down to Vinted stuff, AJ. Are you on Vinted or Whatnot or anything like that? Do you check those apps or marketplaces for any deals, or you just solely CX and charity?
No, I've never. I'm sure that if I got onto Vinted or Whatnot or whatever it is, then I'd probably use it. But no, I've never ventured into them.
Vinted's an interesting place because there's quite a few deals on there at the minute with regards to Blu-rays and stuff, because it's not as big as eBay, should we say, I don't think, for that sort of stuff. So you don't necessarily look on Vinted.
It's not full of resellers, is it, or traders?
No,
it's meant to be people selling the personal collections or personal items. So the only thing with it is that if you're buying £1 Blu-ray, you've got the 80p tax, and then you've got the £2.30 postage. So £1 Blu-rays cost you £4. But the postage bit, I suppose that's just the same way as CEX, though, isn't it? With a £1.90 postage and per item, whatever else. So
I mean, at the end of the day, what you pay for it is, whether it's worth it to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether it's worth it to you to pay, that additional for it.
Yeah. Although it says that's the movies. That's the movie, not series.
I tell you which series I did enjoy until the actors started getting too big for his boots. It was Lethal Weapon. I really enjoyed the Lethal Weapon series, and then Riggs got too big, didn't he? So they killed him off. Yeah. And then we ended up with what's his name, Sean Patrick, whatever his name is.
Sean Thingy from American Pie films.
Yeah, the goon
Yeah, but
and all that.
It wasn't Riggs, was it? He wasn't the issue. The issue was
he wasn't Riggs.
No, Marlon Wayans. It is Marlon Wayans, wasn't it? That was in it.
Well, he came back. He came back for season 3, didn't he? But Riggs never.
No, because he got him fired.
Yeah.
He got him fired. He was the one that was... He never wanted to do it.
Right.
He never wanted to do it. Marlon Wayans never wanted to do it. He thought that it would be a one season and cancelled.
Yeah.
The reason he'd done it was because he was offered another... That he could do this other project that he wanted to do if he took this. So he did. Then Clayne Crawford, who played Riggs... he got jealous of him because he was actually the draw of the show. He was the one that actually carried the show and was really good in it, much to everyone's surprise. And then there were safety issues on set and things like this. Things occurred, and I don't know, all this nonsense and blaming and finger pointing. But Wayans was the bigger person on board, on set, obviously, and managed to get him fired, which was such a shame because it was, for us, that shouldn't have worked. For all intents and purposes, that show shouldn't have worked. It should have failed completely, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And those first 2 seasons are really good. And I never got through the third. Sean William Scott, that was his name.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, who replaced Clayne Crawford.
Yeah. But like I say, it's a good. But I'm still surprised on Amazon. They're trying to charge you for season 3.
Yeah,
the show's 10 years old when that season's aired, and they're still trying to charge you to watch it.
Really? Wow. There you go.
Right, Steve. Because you need to get off, mate. We'll call it a day there. Unless AJ, you want to have a chat or.
I can stay on for a little bit more.
Yeah, no worries. I'll leave you to it then.
Yeah, you're the one that's leaving us.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
It's
been lovely seeing y'all.
Bye, love you. Bye.
See you later. There you go.
What you can't see.
Sorry about that, mate. He's very unprofessional. Right. Thank you very much, guys. I'll speak to you later. Take care.
See you later.
Git. What's
going on?
It's him being a knobhead. 2 seconds. Let me just kick him out the stream. Go on, sod off. Right, there you go. He's gone. Right. Oh, so what have you got coming up in the way of videos then, AJ? You're on the Bounty Bunch again, aren't you, on Sunday, if I remember?
I am indeed, yes.
What's the topic on that show?
I got no idea. It'll be film chat. It'll be general film talk. Yeah, it's a very controversial channel, as you know, with everything that's going on. But I'm impartial to all of that.
I tend to stay out of it all. We weren't around when it all started, so it is what it is.
But I've got no problem with, like I said, I did have issues with people on there a while ago, but we spoke about it. We cleared up our issues, and so I've got no issue going on there, talking film and that. It's quite refreshing, actually. It's quite, a decent conversation. Yeah.
What to say about our channel? You don't get decent conversation on our channel.
Well, I'm not saying that. But do you know what I mean? It's So I said I'd go on last time. They've been asking me for a while to come on. And to be honest, I keep blowing out or saying no because it felt very fresh stuff that was going on. And not only that, it interferes with my bedtime because
they're on a bit late, aren't they? And I'm up early, so I don't get to see much live after say 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, no, I'm I like my sleep. Generally, I'm up at around 4 o'clock ish. So I'm happy to be in bed by 9 o'clock is pushing it for me.
Yeah, see you later, Eden.
I don't mind because it's bank holiday weekend. I said to them, look, if you want to do another one, have me back on at any point. This would be a perfect time because it's bank holiday Monday, so I'm not getting up for work. But other than that, it's really difficult for me to do a Sunday evening. Any evening, really. That's why I do my chats during the day because evenings just don't work for me.
Yeah.
Plus, also, then you go to bed and you've got all this stuff going around in your head because you've just been talking for ages and that. Yeah, I've got a lot less at the moment. There's kind of break to the lives. Matt's busy for weekends. I'm busy for weekends. So there ain't going to be many at the moment. Probably not for, I don't know, might have one or two in a week or two, but then it'll go quiet again for a bit.
So what I was saying to little Steve before is that obviously we have our segments and we like doing like the featured actor and the homework movie and stuff like that. But next week, I really fancy having like a movie star lineup panel. So expect an invite for next Thursday night. Come on, we've got Robbie Downey Jr. as the featured actor. So that in itself is a good conversation starter. And then we just see where we go there. So I'd like to get you and Matt and a few of the other people on as well that we haven't had on the show. You know, people that we keep meaning to get on, and the schedules just don't align for one reason or another. And it should just be a good, just general chit chat on film and what we all love and stuff. And the best thing for me is that everybody that comes on's all got different likes and tastes in movies as well. And I've watched some really good films on the back of somebody just having a chat with us. And it's a film that I would never have thought about watching.
Well, this is it. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You know, if all your tastes aligned, it'd be pretty boring. You know, I wanted to do on Gareth's channel, you know, video tasties. He blew me out though on it. He didn't want to do 3 hours. I was willing to do the Batman with him. Sit and watch the Batman, talk through it. Now the Batman is a film that I've been very critical of. I don't particularly like, but he loves it. And I said to him, "Do you know what? And I'm happy to have. It's not like if you like something and I don't like something, I'm not one of those people that will get angry with you because you can't see how bad it is. Do you know what I mean? Or vice versa. I enjoy having those conversations with people when there's that difference of opinion and actually exploring what it is that you like about something versus what I don't like. It does make for interesting conversation. I said to Gareth, I'd do a 3-hour sit with you when he done his Batman videos a while back. I'll sit with you for 3 hours and do the Batman, even though it'll be painful for me.
The thing with the Batman, and I, when I went to see it in the cinema, I come straight out the cinema. I did my review. I got it up within 5-10 minutes of me coming out to see it. Right, and the bit that got me is that there's like 2 natural endings to the film where they could have finished it, and then it's like, right, we've now got the Riddler. All of a sudden, you've then got that half an hour where they're in the big halls, the town hall or sports hall or whatever it is. You've got all of that, and then you see him finish there. No, we've not quite finished there yet. We've got another 20 minutes after that, and you're like, that's not for me, that type of thing. And it was long and drawn out. And there's certain scenes in that where I thought if they just pushed it to the next level on those scenes, the car chase, the big car chase that was in the trailer, and you saw that could have been a great scene if they actually showed you a bit more car chase and not the big explosions.
The
nightclub scene where he goes to meet Oswald for the first time. he gets into a fight with a bouncer. He headbutts him, kicks another person. And that's the end of it. Give us that Blade scene where he's working his way through the nightclub and beating up all the gangsters, and show us the martial arts of it. The train station scene as well. That's enough one. That's over dead quick.
Yep.
You've got like,
everyone raves about the car scene, right? They say how good the car scene is and all this. And my then question to them is, tell me anything else action-packed that happens around that. That's why you think that car scene is so good, because there's nothing else comparable to it, either side of it, for however long.
No.
So automatically you think, oh yeah, that was really good, because you've got nothing else there. You're right with the ending, right? For me, the bit where he goes after the as I call them, Riddler cosplayers, or his little followers on social media followers, I don't like. Personally, the natural conclusion point for that film for me would have been him. He's called the Riddler. They both stood there in that in the cell scene where they got the glass between them. All the bombs go off. The city gets flooded, and you end there. You end with Batman knowing that he's actually, even though he's caught him,
he's been beaten. Yeah,
he's actually lost to the Riddler, and then setting up your next film from that, and dispose of that whole action sequence at the end, and have it go out on a sort of downer, on a sort of, you know what I mean? It's a braver ending.
That would have fit the tone of the film perfectly. Yeah. It has been the person's one step ahead of me the whole way through this.
Yes, and still is. Still was, even though he's been caught.
Yeah.
That would have, Batman can't, at that point where the water comes flooding in, you've got a death toll, you've got, what can he do? He can't do nothing. He essentially stood there helpless at that point.
Yeah.
But no, you get this action scene where he goes off and he fights these Riddler wannabes and then saves some people.
Even the bit where the Transformer looks like it's going to fall into the water and electrocute everyone and all, that just felt so dragged out.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, are you trying to fit a 3-hour action film into? Are you trying to fit an action film into a 3-hour time slot, or you were trying to drag this out to a 3-hour time slot? Did you have all that footage that you thought, this is great, we've got to use it? Or is it like, we're not at the 3 hours, we're not at the end game time, we're not at, Infinity War time, we're not at, and just drag it out to that. Every film's got to be longer than the last one that we've done. And that's what I seem to get with that Batman.
That's true. And not only that, it's got to be darker.
Yeah.
It's got to be darker. See, my question, because everyone, okay, I know Batman and Forever and Batman Robin get bad reps as films, and they do. I've said this. Imagine Batman Forever and Batman and Robin came out before Batman and Batman Returns. Guarantee you they'd be held in higher regard than what they are now, because the only thing you're comparing them to is the Adam West TV show before that. And what those two films done was essentially try and take, especially Batman and Robin, try and take it back and give you the Adam West TV show in big budget form. But after having the Michael Keaton dark ones, people didn't want that.
No.
But had they come first, people would have been fine with it, because their memory is of Adam West. You move into The Dark Knight, which, again, a very dark take on Batman, but still, there's still the fantastical element in there, right? Now they step completely dark for this iteration of Batman. I'm talking, off the scale. remove any sense of fantastical. There's no fantasy in those films whatsoever, which now makes Batman look rather stupid. The concept of a man wearing a bat suit seem rather ridiculous. After that trilogy of films, where do you go next? That's my question. Yeah, because audiences have been conditioned into this darkness, into taking it into this dark zone, and you can't go any darker than what they've given you now.
But I don't think you can go any lighter than what you've given now from Robert Pattinson, because you can't humanize him now, because even when he was Bruce Wayne, he wasn't human. He was very cold, deadpan. You know, this is where I am. This is who I am, regardless if I've got the cowl on or not. You know, and I don't think you can. I don't think you're going to be able to humanize him in the next one.
I think the best. I think Christian Bale was the best. Had the best between the two.
Yeah,
because it was done in such a way that he's playing when he's Bruce Wayne and he gets the girls and he gets drunk and he's playing a character. He's playing a persona. You know, Bruce Wayne is playing a persona, although his real persona is Batman. But he's doing that as a sort of to draw that any thought of that away from people. You know, spoiled brat sort of billionaire. It's like a game to him in that sense. Do you know what I mean? But no, you're right. They can't go any lighter with him. They can't. It wouldn't work. It won't. I'm sure they could try, but you know, audiences won't accept a lighter take on Batman stepping away from this iteration of Batman. So where do you go? You've backed yourself into a corner.
Well, you've got two. You're going to have two Batman. You're going to have Michael Keaton Batman, if Michael Keaton stays on as Batman after The Flash, and you're going to have Robert Pattinson's Batman. It's just like you're going to have two Jokers, aren't you? Well, technically, you've got three Jokers. You've got the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. You've got the Joker from the Batman, and you've got the Joker who's going to be in the new DC ones. Jared Leto still got a Joker role left on a contract somewhere.
Yeah,
he's coming back in for that. So you've got three versions of Joker. You're going to have multiple Batmen, and then you've got it's just bonkers. It's bonkers. Whatever James Gunn's going to do with DC, trying to fix all of this, he's got his work cut out for him.
He has. Good luck to him. I'm hoping. See, I'm interested to see what happens if the Flash earns big. I'm very interested to see what they do. Whether that will not course correct, but whether that will change plans.
Do you think the Flashpoint storyline is going to rescue DC?
I'd like to. If James Gunn goes ahead with his plan as planned out, what I hope for, what I'd love to see is that what's his face who plays him? What's his name? Who plays the Flash?
Miller.
Yeah,
Ezra Miller.
All right, forget Ezra Miller and forget what he's done, all the stuff in public and that. Forget that, right? You got to, sometimes you got to separate the art from the artist itself, right? So I've got no issue with what he's done in the sense of, I'm going to watch The Flash. Don't come into it. It's two different things. If The Flash done big, I'd like to see if James Gunn's resetting, I'd like to see Ezra Miller carry on over into that new universe. If he's the one that's done the resetting, because he should then carry those memories.
Yeah.
See what I mean? And that'd be a nice way of connecting the two. You're never going to get the Snyderverse. That's not going to happen. No. Zack Snyder, I think, is just playing games with people. And all that stuff about selling it to Netflix. And I've said to people, why would DC do that? Why would they? Because you got to think, if they say to Snyder, go and finish off your thingy, go and do Justice League 2 and 3, we'll carry on doing with what we're doing with James Gunn, and then James Gunn releases his stuff around a similar time that these are done and released, and then people gravitate towards that instead of James Gunn's. Warner Bros. Are going to have egg on their face. DC will have egg on their face.
Yeah.
People are saying, no, we want more of that. We want more of that universe. The problem is they, they were hoping. The only reason you got the Snyder cut was because it fell at a time where COVID hit, where HBO
needed something.
Yeah, they needed something on there big, so they went with that because it was pretty much already in the can. They only needed to do some more stuff with it. Put a little bit more money into it. And they've got a project to put on there. And they're also hoping that it would shut down all the Zack Snyder followers. But it didn't. It riled them up more.
Yeah.
And now you've got Restore the Snyderverse. If Warner Brothers gave in and said, yeah, go and do it, too much power is given to the viewer.
Do you think the Snyder cut, because that was pretty much everything that they ever filmed thrown into a consistent movie,
yes,
right? And it made perfect sense than what the theatrical cut that we got.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's a call for us to get the theatrical cut, then get a director's cut, and then get an ultimate cut? Because the Snyderverse is the ultimate cut, isn't it? For me, somewhere in between the two would have been perfect.
Yeah, the Snyder cut is not what would have come out. What we got isn't what we would have got had Zack Snyder not been pulled from it and Joss Whedon been put on.
We would have got somewhere in between.
Yes.
We would have got a little bit more of the Flash. We would have got a little bit more Cyborg, and those characters would have made more sense. The interaction between Aquaman and Flash, for example, make perfect sense in Snyder Cut because you can see them in certain other scenes where they're talking, and and you can see Barry really warming up to Arthur and stuff like that. And
yes,
but then you see the other side, don't you, with Diana and Ray as in the Cyborg, and they're really talking to each other as well. And those characters are flushed out. So somewhere in between the theatrical and the Snyder, we would have got a half decent movie. But I think, going back to, and you said several times about the Zavvi exclusives and stuff like this, and reprinting movies and Arrow releases. Do you think that there is a market out there for those people that want to buy the extended versions of everything that was filmed, sort of put into a film?
There's always a market, but you're talking about cutting back down now. A smaller cut of the film.
Not necessarily of the Snyder cut. I would prefer it cutting it back to make it better than without all the screen cuts and all that sort of stuff being added in there. But do you know, for films like, I don't know, we'll pick what was it Steve had before, Wolf of Wall Street. Okay.
Yeah.
He was showing you the 4K release that he's just bought for that. But would there be a market for, because there'll be loads of outtakes, there'll be loads of scenes that was cut from that film because it was quite a long film, loads of stuff that was being cut out of that. Would you like to see what we would have got over a 3 or 4 hour period?
What, in the case of something like that?
Yeah, in the case of something like that, yeah.
It depends on the project. It would depend on the project. Something like Wolf. I mean, I'm always intrigued by the stuff that's been edited out, but there are cases where you've seen. Okay, so you've got something like Superman the movie, the TV cut, right? Which and you had TV cuts back in the day of a lot of films would be screened on TV and they'd have additional footage in because they needed to make up a certain element of time to fit it in without cutting it. They'd make it longer to fit the time frame of where they're putting it on the screen. So if you've seen that, then you're looking at it and you're thinking it's good that you cut this stuff out. There's some abysmal stuff put back in that doesn't need to be there. It's intriguing to see, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want it. There are certain projects, films, where you have, that a different cut exists, like David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Yeah, I'd love to see that. The Predator, where they cut the whole second half of the film and refilmed it all, with the two predators that were helping the human race that were in Area 51, all that stuff. I'd love to see what that film would have been, yeah, had it not been reshot. Things like that, certainly, yeah. But not every film. Depends on the film.
Yeah. Movie Mad said Alien Special Edition is much better. Yeah, I totally agree with it. And I know it's mad, but that 30 seconds with the auto cannons, that just it doesn't change the whole. It's not one of these big bang movie things where they say that extra 5 seconds changes the whole tone of the film, but it just allows you to gauge. Right, we're shooting these things down. Bam, 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 bam. There's like 1,000 rounds, but then these things are still coming. And it just puts you into that little bit more of a dread mode than where you cut it and then all of a sudden you see the motion sensor and they're in the room, then aren't they after that?
Yeah. I mean, a film that was lambasted upon release was obviously Alien versus Predator Requiem. But I don't know if you've seen the extended cut of that.
No, I haven't. No.
All right. That's got about 14. I think it's about 14 minutes additional footage, and the whole beginning of the film. There's a lot of the additional stuff actually it revolves around the Predator himself, and there's elements of the film where it's the opening of the film is done differently. In the film that we get, the Predator, before he even leaves, and this is one of the questions people had: if the Predator knew this was happening, why did only one Predator come to Earth? Right, because in the cut of the film that we see, theatrical cut, the Predator's on his home world. He gets this message that this ship's gone down. He gets some video footage that shows that there was a Pred alien on board, and then he heads off on his own to deal with it. In the other cut of the film, he has no idea. He gets a distress call. He goes off to deal with this distress call. It's not until he gets to the ship and he actually takes off his mask and puts on one of the dead Predator masks that has recorded what has happened, is that he sees exactly what he's then dealing with, which then answers the question as to why it's only one Predator that's gone. But for the theatrical cut, it was edited that he got that footage while still at the Predator homeworld and could see it, which just completely made no sense whatsoever. But it makes perfect sense in the other cut. And there's about 14 minutes. And I'm not saying it turns it into a great film. It doesn't. But it makes more sense. But you don't realise until you see it how much utter nonsense the other version was.
I'm going to have to go and watch it tomorrow now.
It's, yeah.
I'll have to find it.
It does. It adds to it. But like I said, don't turn it into an excellent film. You still can't see what happens. But there we go. But it was funny that it was all Predator stuff that was pretty much edited from the film. So in some cases, yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued by edits and cuts. Superman 4, I'd love to see. Bad as the film is, it is a bad film. But there's all that stuff that was cut from that with the first Bizarro Superman. Lex Luthor's failed attempt at a nuclear man. And the comic book adaptation has that all in it because it was done from the script. And that stuff was filmed. And the scenes are on the internet, on Yahoo, on YouTube. And believe me, they look rubbish. But I'd be intrigued to see that film as it was meant to be seen. Before those scenes weren't, even a rough cut of it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, even if they, you know, it's like you got the work print in Germany. You got, I think it's the only place you can get it. Is you got the 1989 Punisher film, and when you buy it, you get a second disc, and you have a work print with it, which is essentially a really rough cut of the film. All additional scenes put in it, but you can still see the boomsticks. You know what I mean? The music they've used on it isn't the music from the film. You know, even if you got had something like that as a special feature included on your standard edition, where you could see a rough cut of what this film would have been, even if some of the scenes are just storyboarded put in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, give us like special features of this is what we were planning.
Yeah,
but we've put it out.
Yeah,
or we didn't film it. Speaking of that, what's your view on the whole? Did Bishop meet a Xeno when he was crawling through the tubes in Aliens? Because that was a big discussion, wasn't it, for a long time? Why Bishop can get through the tube to get to the remote control for the ship, the telemast. There was a chat about him. He might have found a Xeno in the tube, and it's left him alone because he realised he's not human or something like that. Lance Henriksen saying that they never filmed the scene, but there's people that says that they've seen the film, the scene there. What's your view? Would you have liked to have seen the Xeno making the definition that he wasn't actually human, and because the xenomorphs are pretty much just farming, aren't they? They're taking humans back to be
that's
hosts.
right, yeah.
So would you like to have seen it trying to make the definition if he was human or not?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I would have, because it would have shown a sense of their intelligence a bit more, that they can distinguish between one and the other. You know, that essentially that would be a pointless exercise in you know, taking him, because
taking Bishop,
because it wouldn't do anything because he's not human. And I think the comics have done things with that, where they've had androids in the, you know, in the presence of, if I recall, in the presence of the aliens, with no impact.
Do you think that might have had a small bit in Alien 3 then, when the Xeno sniffing Ripley and he realizes she's already impregnated, and it's sort of sensing the Queen or in Ripley anyway, isn't it?
Yes.
So do you think that might have come sort of? It has got intelligence. It already knows what it's looking for, and it already knows it's sort of done.
Yeah, and you know, because all species are pretty much has a certain intelligence in what they do, don't they? And I think, you know, that scene there, it did add to that. You know, it's leaving her alone for this reason. It's leaving Bishop alone for this reason, because he's not anything to it. Yeah. Synthetic. It's like going up to a mannequin. You know, and it would have been. I think that would have been quite a. You know, if that scene, I don't know how they filmed the scene, but if they sort of showed an element of not fear but concern out of Bishop when one was approaching him, it could have been a really, really well handled scene for him to then realise. Do you know what I mean?
Because you've got that. What's the line he says? I might be synthetic, but I'm not stupid. When he's going through, when they've cut the tube and he climbs into it, he says he's something along that line, doesn't it? So I think after him saying that, and then 2-3 minutes later, actually see him encounter one, and how would he have dealt with that when he sees them? And you know, because you don't really get to see him interact with any of them, do you? But his scenes, he's always away from it, or he's in the science lab looking at the facehugger or something like that. He's never actually. The only Xeno he really come in contact with was the Queen, wasn't it? And she just ripped him apart, and he was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, seeing that scene where it is sort of trying to gauge what he is, that would have that would have just been nice to have a little bit of a twist. But yeah,
it would have been. You'd have seen it. Yeah, you'd have seen a different side, a different action to the Alien, much like in Alien 3. It would have been similar to that, I'd assumed.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So really, you did get you know. It would have been similar. You got what you'd have got there in Alien 3 at that point. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then would they have done that in Alien 3 if they'd done that in that?
Because they've already done it in Aliens. Yeah. I think Alien 3 might have just been the nod to Aliens. Look, this is the scene everyone's talking about. We've just twisted
it and done which is a great scene. That was great, and it really looked good as well. You know, the prosthetic alien at that point, the animatronic alien or whatever you want to call it. It looked really good. That was an effective scene.
Yeah,
that was actually the DVD as well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Or the VHS. That was one of the covers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was never a big fan of Alien 3 until I've watched it again recently, and then I have sort of grown to love it. You know, I think it is good, and you can see it's had its difficulties. The continuous rewriting, the continuous refilm, and you know the fact that they never had an ending to the film until halfway through filming sort of shows where they were trying to go, the difficulty had with that. Do you think they should have just left it at the end of Alien 3 and not did Resurrection?
Totally. Alien 3 was a great send-off to the trilogy. It's one of those, you know, it's similar in ilk to maybe, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy. You had a fantastic first film, really, really good. You had a second film that is on par with the first, but questionably, possibly better than the first.
Better,
Then where do you go with a third one? You're now stepping into the territory of you've set expectations so high that the chances of you actually paying off with it is minimal. And that's what Dark Knight suffered with. And that's what Alien suffered with. People wanted bigger. People wanted that film to be bigger than Aliens, in a sense, a bigger action film. And it stepped back into the territory of Alien, which isn't what audiences wanted. I mean, it's a troubled film. It's a troubled
with the suspense horror type of scenario. Yeah.
I never had an issue with it. I never had, I know that the film I'm watching is the weakest of that trilogy by far. But it's got some great character moments. It gave Ripley a perfect ending. Alien Resurrection to me just plays like, it feels like I'm not watching the same series of film. I'm watching people that play more like caricatures of real people than feel like I'm watching real people. None of the military guy in it, the one who picks the brains out of the back of his head after the aliens, he doesn't feel like someone who should be in the military.
Charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a similar feeling with the film Godzilla, the 1998 Godzilla. Everyone in it, they don't seem real. The military personnel don't seem like they should be really people who feel like they're military. Do you know what I mean? They feel like caricatures of, and that was a problem with Alien Resurrection that I had.
That whole love relationship with the scientist, I can appreciate he admires the Xenos, and he's going on about them being smart and all this stuff, where he's knocking on the window and he's learning that if he goes near the button that he's going to get blasted. But then when you find the Queen is giving birth to the hybrid and stuff like that, that whole monologue that he goes through during that just sort of just makes that scene weird for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it weird. It just makes it weird.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, you know, I remember seeing that in the cinema. I remember going to see that film. It had some good moments. It had some good moments in a troubled film. You know, yeah. I don't know.
The underwater bit where they're swimming through the kitchen, that's quite good because you get to see them move in a different way. And
yeah, that was inspired. Because obviously, in the context of the film, they can adapt to any sort of environment, can't they? Which is good. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I mean, Sigourney Weaver only came back for money, didn't she? She said as much.
Yeah.
They offered her loads to do that, so she took it. It was a payday. Why not? She didn't care, did she?
So with the Disney Hulu Alien series coming, do you think that is the end of the Prometheus Covenant trilogy? Do you think we're going to get a closing storyline to that? I would like to see a story. Is the Juggernaut on LV-426 the same Juggernaut that the one that we've seen from Prometheus? But we know it's not now because David's back on the colony ship with the eggs and stuff like that. So are you intrigued to find out that we've got more ships, or if it is linked, or isn't it linked, or is it just another story about xenomorphs that we just need to bring to an end and done?
I think I'm not, you know, I think they did screw up with those films. Whenever you go back to do a prequel, it's so. Did we ever need to know? Did we, you know, why can't things remain a mystery? Did we need to know about the engineers? Couldn't it have just remained? Do we need to know the origins of the alien? Couldn't it just remain a mystery? They just are.
Yeah.
We don't know where they came from or why and all this. To actually link them, because I find it pretty stupid that they're sort of linked back to man and man's creation. I get it thematically in the context of the story, but I think it just creates a small. It makes the universe seem small.
Yeah.
And all interconnected and just connected to us, the human race, and that sort of thing. I don't like that. Also, the fact that the engineer ship crashes at the end of Prometheus and is pretty much in the same position that it would have been crashed on LV-426. It's just, do you know what I mean? It's just silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But then there's murals, isn't there? There's murals of aliens in. There's murals of aliens in Prometheus.
Yeah.
And they're looking around that temple or whatever they're in. There's murals. But then you have the sort of proto-alien that comes out of the engineer at the end, which then sort of and then Covenant goes on to contradict the fact that you've already seen alien murals by saying that David's the one who's now created the alien.
Yeah.
All that stuff I just can't get my head around. Now I know that there is a theory. There's someone has done. I saw a video on it. I can't remember where I saw it, who it was, where they've actually filled in the blanks, and what he done in the context of getting it all to fit actually worked. You know, I think it was something to do with the black goo. The aliens had been around before, but had essentially died out. What David brought back wasn't something new, but something that had already been. All this sort of stuff, but he did link it. He had proper explanations for it to work, and it was like, you know, actually that actually makes more sense to this film series now.
What you're saying. The black goo, if I remember me, Prometheus changes depending on what DNA it mixes in with, doesn't it? It's not you're not going to get the same. If you mix the black goo with me, you get a xenomorph. Where you mix it with something else, you got the big squid engineer
Yes.
thing that came
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
So, it sort of begs the question then what we got in Alien 3 then, because obviously one was born from a bull and one was born from a dog, depending on which version of the film you were watching, but you still got the Xeno in a sense.
That acted like a dog.
That acted like a dog, yeah.
Yeah.
But then but this is why we would have got the Xenomorph with David, because when he was testing on Shaw, because obviously it's her DNA, isn't it? It's
That's
reacting
right.
to
Yeah.
DNA. So it might have been around 400 years ago in the Highlands of Scotland, wherever they were when he went into that cave. But obviously he's brought it back now because it has mixed with DNA that it already knows. You know, the goo knows, doesn't it? So
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mess. I don't. Do I want to see another one? Not really. I think Ridley Scott is past it as a filmmaker. Especially as maybe not as a director, but certainly as a storyteller. You know, the fact that he stepped on Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5 to do what he wanted to do. You know, this news that's come about again about the Alien versus Predator anime series that has been done, filmed, completed, and just being held in Disney vaults since the acquisition of Fox. You know, probably because of Ridley Scott wanting to do what he wanted to do. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing a TV series actually, and Scott's not involved.
see, Carl, I'm definitely for continuity. AJ's called me out on it before about me liking me stories that link up and finish off and perfect sort of tie a bow around it and we're done. But I think having David fly away at the end of Covenant back on the ship has sort of killed any chance of getting the LV-426 story closed off.
Yeah,
because
it would
no
make.
way he's not going to find another Juggernaut, so he's not going to crash another Juggernaut or anything like that, is he? He's, you know.
Yeah, it's just all too convenient.
Yeah.
If that was to happen again, you got to remember when Prometheus came out, there was a lot of talk. There was all that rhetoric. It is an Alien prequel. No, it's not an Alien prequel. Then it is. No, it isn't. You had all that sort of stuff. I think there's a great story in Prometheus, and I think that'd have been better off not having it linked to the Alien films.
You could have had any other alien species in Prometheus, and it would have been a great sci-fi movie.
Yeah, because he wanted to tell. Ridley Scott wanted to do a film about the origins of man and all this sort of stuff, and yeah, it just. I find it quite a difficult film to watch now, to be honest. I did try maybe about a year ago, and I don't exactly think Covenant is a joy to watch either. Yeah, I found it quite a slog to get through. It's a shame, really. You got these franchises, and you know you got more duffers in them than what you've got decent films. These renowned franchises. Do you know what I mean? And you have more.
You take Terminator, don't you? After Terminator 2, there isn't anyone there that I would say I wouldn't mind seeing wiped out. Then he tried to wipe it out with Dark Fate and give us some crap sort of forget your history and now we're now replacing him with somebody else. And you're like, hang on a second, now you're trying to rewrite a franchise which is based on John Connor being the savior of the human race.
I think part of it is that you know the audience they're catering for is a lot younger. You know, same with Star Wars. They don't really care about the fan base, the existing fan base back then.
No.
A lot of these people that are working on these films are people that, not being bad, but it's kind of like you had decent filmmakers, decent storytellers back then, and now the new people are a lesser version of them. For the younger audience, it works. For the older audience, it doesn't, because you're getting, and you're always going to get, in most cases, 99 times out of 100, you're going to get inferior product, because you've got people who haven't got, and also these films are written to appease certain elements of society as well.
Do you think that's why we got a scientific explanation about what the Force was in Phantom Menace? But because the newer generation that missed the original trilogy didn't understand that it's just magical, and it just is, people can just tap into that. And then we ended up with the whole midi-chlorian
thing,
scientific reason behind it all.
Yeah, I mean, you got to say, you're quite surprised with that one, because it was George Lucas. I think that's probably just George Lucas having a moment more than anything else, trying to give it a bit of explanation, an afterthought maybe, that just didn't work really. It was stupid, wasn't it? It was really stupid. There we go. What can you do?
No. Right, I have just clocked the time, AJ, and since we
mate, 9:06. I was looking at that.
I know, since we are gentlemen of certain ages and we do need to get to bed.
That's right.
I'll call it a day there. So thank you very much for joining us when my co-host had to disappear due to family issues. So thank you.
That's all right, mate. I didn't mind jumping in. You put the link up. I thought, why not?
Yeah, so thank you for joining. I'll send some invites out for next week, sir. So please feel free to join us next week, and we'll have another good conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, for people that are still with us, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. That just tells YouTube that people are enjoying our content and pushes it out to other people. And on that note, if you are still subscribed to us, because we're going through a phase at the moment where people are subbing and then unsubbing just as quick.
That's not you, but just you, mate.
No, so thank you for staying with us, and your support is greatly appreciated. And on that note, we'll see you on the next video. So, bye-bye.
See you later. Thanks for letting me come on.